Okay. Hi. This is part two to part one of Human Experimentee, NYC. For those of you who don't know, I think that I am a victim of human experimentation, and that I have been a victim of this for at least almost 3 years. And just a quick synopsis, it all began basically from me being unconscious in a hospital for 4 days and waking up and going to a facility to get help for depression, basically. And it began there. Both the hospital and the facility are linked, it's one and the same. And I wasn't put in forcibly, I actually signed myself into the facility and was out within 10 days. But a lot of strange things occurred that let me know that my thoughts were being monitored. My thoughts, and even to the, I guess, the physical aspects of myself, orientation and things like that, were being monitored and viewed. Some of the things I didn't mention about while I was in the facility was a male nurse who was a part of the overnight 11 to 7 and weekend, I guess, weekend staff, was one of the main voices or people that I heard basically repeat my thoughts or my actions as to what was going on and what was happening. He was a basically he looked very military-ish, in and of himself. It could have just been him, or just maybe he was a part of the military. I'm not sure, but I said to say he was very, clean shaven, bald head, very muscular. He basically looked, how he looked, and but he looked very military like. And the same particular man walked up to me one of the last days that I was there, while I was basically outside, like, amongst a whole bunch of people. He walked up to me and he said, "Yep, we have our whipping boy." I didn't really know how to take that. This is after days and days of me taking the harassment of the commentaries, and commentaries about what was going on, comments about what I was thinking, commentaries to what I was thinking. He basically, like I said, walked up to me and said what he said. Some of the other things that occurred, like I said, after I left this facility, nothing else happened for months on end, and I ended up losing 2 jobs because of it. It's now been 6 months in, and when this all started, one of the first things stated to me was, show us your memories. We're mapping your brain. Show us your memories. By the time we're done with you, we're going to have you in a catatonic state. Um, that was one of the first things stated to me. On top of that, I also had a very painful, sharp, dragging sensation on the left side of my head. And if going from the back to the front, it was like something was dragging through in a figure eight type of emotion, but it felt almost like, the best way to describe it was like something was going through or dragging through the folds of my head, from the front, from the back to the front, specifically on the left side, and then eventually a little bit on the right. But this went on for at least 40 minutes to an hour, maybe a little bit more. The sensation. Meanwhile, I was basically being told everything from, "We're mapping your brain. We're going to have you in a catatonic state. You're stupid. You deserve this. You're a horrible person." All these different things. I'm being told. You know that occurred. That was basically the first night when the voices really came in full fledged, loud, and very audible, while at home. Prior to this, they never really came to me at home. I had a couple of instances where, after I left my second job, where I was sitting down doing some homework, and the female voice, again, let me state this, these are 3 to 4 people, the same people, two of which I definitely know came from the facility, or I'm pretty sure came from the facility that I was at. That's what their voices sound like. These same staff members, these overnight staff members. And I keep stressing overnight staff members because that shift is sometimes filled with people who are not regulars, part timers, people who come in when on call staff, and people who are filled by agencies. These are not usually full time employees. I just said it to say it just makes it a little bit more, accessible if it is someone who's doing this, whoever this group of people is, that's behind whatever this is. They wouldn't be normal staff necessarily for this. So they made it known that they could see what I was doing as I was doing it. I was doing a homework assignment. I was doing some spreadsheets. Was trying to ignore them basically to get through my schoolwork at that time. This was maybe another week into me hearing them, and the female voice basically asked me what happened to number two on a set of a list from an original copy. I paid it no mind. I went back about my business on the copy page. When I went back to the original, I realized then that number two was missing. I didn't realize it. They caught it. You could chalk that up to being your eye is quicker than your mind. Okay, fine. I had another experience or a couple of experiences where things that were in my line of sight were I was told what it was. Like I would be driving and I'm not paying attention to what the street sign says because I know the streets, but I don't know the names of the streets. And the female voice, the male voice would basically state out, Fairmont or whatever the name of the street is, because the sign is in my line of sight, but it wasn't my focus at all. I'll be paying attention to the road, not even paying attention to the sign, things like that. And, when this started, up. They stopped for a period of about a month and a half. And they did tell me before they left that we're going to be back in 6 weeks. This was sometime between the Thanksgiving and Christmas holiday, sometime around that time. Actually, in October is when it started. And they told me it lasted until about a little bit after Thanksgiving, about the first week of December, and they were gone by the time Christmas came. But they did tell me before they left that they'd be back in 6 weeks, and sure enough, within approximately 6 weeks, by the last week of January, going into the first week of February, the voices came back. These people came back. In that space of time, I did have an MRI done. Prior to that, I had a CT scan done. Admittedly, I went back to the same hospital that I believe this all started with, because that's the local hospital here. Me just trying to have faith and just have trust, as afraid as I was of going there. I went back to have the CT scan, which probably wasn't the best thing to do. But I had an MRI done, and the MRI came back clean. But again, when I went to have the MRI done, I went basically under the basically stating I'm having headaches, because I was having headaches. Some of the things that I've experienced as far as sensations are zapping sensations, like surging and heat like sensations, like fiery sensations, specifically on the left side of my head more so than anything else, and also in the middle. I've had a pulling and a dragging sensation, like something, almost one time something shocked me out of my sleep, while it felt like a magnetic pull. And a lot of it again was going on more so specifically on the left side of my head, sometimes the back of my head, and in the middle, never really on the right side of my head. I later on came to find out, after I began researching, that your memories are stored on the left side of your head. The main part for, I guess, for auditory is on the left side of your head, and also memories as well. Memories and dreams and things like that are a part of your limbic system, which is in the middle of your head. The back of your head, of course, are your occipital lobes, which is for your vision. I didn't know all these things prior to what I was experiencing. So, you can't say, okay, well, fine, you knew these things and that's why you felt these feelings. I didn't know any of these things. And it seems like when they came back the second time around, that their recall of my thoughts, they were able to recall my thoughts as well, recall memories that I had as well. They would say things like, when you were 5 years old, you did this, or when you were this years old, you felt this when this person said this and this to you. Um, Whatever I thought, it would be a commentary to whatever I thought. If I thought about eating something and something to eat, oh, she's greedy. If I thought about, me not liking something someone had on, oh, she's mean. It would be simple commentaries, but it would initially, when it started, it seemed like it took a little bit of time for me to get the response. When they came back the second time around, these responses came in quicker, as if they had basically tightened up what they were doing. Um, One of the main things that they were telling me or trying to tell me for a period of time was, read. We need you to read. You don't read enough. We need you to read. And of course, that scared me, and I really didn't read because I said, whatever these people are doing, I'm feeling it. I'm experiencing it. It hurts. I'm getting these shocks, these zaps. These people are coming back to me with all these things. I can't deny the fact anymore that something was done to me, and I'm not going to read. So I kind of stopped reading for a period of time initially. And then I began to read because I tried to tell other people what's going on, and everyone basically tried to write it off as saying that you're having delusional problems and what's going on is not what's going on. And I tried medication, different medications. I'm still on medication now. None of it's working. But basically, people, family members and friends basically write it off as saying, if this is not happening, this is all in your head. But I know that this is not all in my head. The commentaries made are not things that I feel guilty about, things that I worry about, things that I'm concerned about. It's just commentaries to whatever's going on. It's things telling me, oh, I should feel guilty about this, I should feel guilty about that. You're a horrible person. You shouldn't have done that. You should have did this. Things like that. Over time, the comments have gone from, again, commentaries to what I'm doing. Things like, well, what is she doing right now? Oh, she's in the kitchen doing this and this, or oh, she's mean if I think about something, or for the way I respond to someone, or whatever the case is, or she's a horrible person, or she's stupid. Even if I'm not having any trouble understanding something, if I'm reading something or looking at something, or I think something, oh, she's stupid, she's dumb, things like that, which I don't think is the case at all for myself. The comments have gotten a lot meaner, and in the last couple of months, they've been trying to work on me to make me break down. It's taken, a couple of months for me to actually cry about this. I've been praying about it, but it's taken a couple of months, and they're trying to break me down. And they've resorted to basically full on assault of everything from my physical appearance to my past experiences to everything, from just everything. And there's other videos that basically chronicle that, as far as what I'm hearing now. But when this started, again, they didn't. I was told to read, and now it's difficult for me to read because I now get these headaches, these hot headaches that where my brain or my head feels like it's on fire, specifically on the left side of my head, and it feels tight when I read for more than 20 minutes or 30 minutes. And I'm now being told to stop reading, to stop read, basically to stop reading, because it's just basically giving them more information about me. And it seems to be the case. I don't know if they're just trying to make it seem that way, but their responses and how deep they're able to go ahead and actually get into my thought process is frightening. Whereas before, whatever my final thought was, if I thought about something, and you look at something initially and you go, maybe your first initial thought about something is whatever sticks out most prominently to you. So maybe it's the blue in a vase or whatever it is. But eventually you say you either like it or you dislike it. You like the flowers, you don't like the flowers, you like, whatever it is. They've gotten down that deep to where they can tell what my first initial reaction is for some things, not everything. So that's frightening. They've gotten to a point where they can, again, they can toss or throw the sound as far as how high, how low, where it's coming from. They can make it sound like it's coming from the next room, from outside, from behind your head, or in your head. And again, they come in shifts. These are people who are coming in shifts. It sounds like two white men and one young female and one young black or Hispanic male. Um, and it's frightening, and you can check out part three, and I'll go into some more details, and then you can check out the other things that I chronicle. So thanks.